This meeting of the Board of Waterworks Trustees, April 23rd, 2019. Call the meeting to order. You need to know everyone who's in attendance.
I think the minutes can reflect who's here, we don't need to recite.
Okay, great. All right, the consent agenda. Ted, you want to go through that?
The consent agenda has the minutes from the previous meetings, financial statements, the normal stuff, list of payments. One thing I will mention, without pulling it out necessarily, but just for a little information, that in the list of checks, our payment to the community foundation, our $50,000 payment is in there. Partnership, I'm sorry, thank you. Our payment, $50,000 annual payment to the partnership is there, that payment has been made.
I answered my question, go ahead, sorry.
No. And the rest is pretty typical consent items.
Is there any questions on any of those items? Anything that anyone would like pulled out separately to discuss?
I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Well, the part two is just public comment, so anyone who's here to make comment on anything, any item on the agenda or anything else, this would be the time to do that. Offer the opportunity.
Make a quick one.
Certainly.
Pick that up later. Sam Carroll, the Moines Park Foundation. I just wanted to take an opportunity to publicly thank the board and the staff through this flood cleanup. I know our project creates even more opportunities of hurdles to cross. And so I just wanted to express our thanks because I know as much as your staff was stretched on the flood cleanup, them also accommodating the connection project and getting the planter taken out and all those other requirements, we really appreciated it. And it really showed this Saturday, we did the extraordinary egg hunt and we're able to get a lot of volunteers into the park and clean up the wild portion. And it was just, I just wanted to take the opportunity to express you guys working with us and making all that possible, and a great event on Saturday, so thank you.
Sam, before you sit down, can you talk a little bit about the trash that was hauled out of there? It's an interesting story.
So, as you know, we were focused, we actually couldn't even go into Denman Woods part of the wild because we have that levee project that we're funding back there, that erosion item fix. So they closed that off as well. So it was just north of the river, kind of past the bridge, so basically the equestrian trails. And we pulled out, or the folks that came and participated pulled out no less than 5 tires still on their rims. We had a bumper, we had a wheel well, we had some other various parts. We thought we could almost build a car. There were like 15 bags of trash that were accumulated trash, so people were taking out, we had them going out with small bags, but we filled 15 giant bags that Jessica had supplied for us. And there was even a little gun. There was some interesting, interesting
A
stuff.
giant, there's a BB gun
Yeah, BB gun.
and a giant barrel.
Yeah, and a 50-pound or a 50-gallon, was a washer blade. Fortunately, it didn't have like radioactivity or radioactive signs on it, but they rolled it all the way from like the Lost Planet. I mean, they were dragging stuff out long ways, and it was great. As you know, we changed the process a little bit this year so that there wasn't really any egg hoarding. We asked people to keep one per person, and if they found more than that, that was fine, just hide it for someone else, and that, they seemed to enjoy that. And then the people that brought trash out that didn't find an egg, we made sure they got an egg. And so that really made a lot of people happy, and yeah, it was just, we learned from last year, and last year was a great event, but this year I think it was even better, tied in with the Trash Bash and Trash and Earth Day, so better messaging.
And I was out there for an hour or so, and, there was a lot of people that came through that said they'd never been in the park before, and it got them in the park, and the kids especially, a lot of the kids liked the picking up the trash piece of it.
Yeah.
I know Sam slipped some parents some eggs on their way out, so that kids who picked up trash found an egg, were guaranteed to find one. I mean, but it really, it's a great event. I mean, I think it brings people into the park that have never been here, and people love it.
And the cleanup idea is a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Fantastic.
And they actually gave it to us. I mean, last year we had a lot of people talking about, we've never been in that part of the park. We didn't know it was part of Waterworks Park. We didn't know, we had so much fun. We didn't find eggs, but the one thing we did notice is how much trash was out there. And if you gave us bags, we'd pick it up. So I'd love to tell you that that was my idea, but it wasn't. It really was the people having a great time last year and exploring, which is why we do the event. It's to get people out in the park and discover just what a magnificent treasure we have with this park. So yeah, so we learned and improved this year, and saw some staff, people and their families out there, and a lot of people from around the community, and so it's great. So thank you again for working with us on it.
While you're here, would you like to talk to us about the noise?
Oh, yeah. So as you know, the noise ordinance for Waterworks is you're under a separate, the park's under a separate noise ordinance than the rest of the city. And so after 515 Alive last year, which was disturbing, we were trying to strategize to keep that from happening again, because I think from certainly the foundation standpoint, but more importantly from your standpoint, 515 Alive isn't gonna get invited back again if they do that. And as it turned out, it wasn't so much the noise, it was this driving bass. So we were able to figure out what the issue was. But the solution that they were proposing actually wasn't gonna solve the problem. And it was gonna be very restrictive, even though it was something that they've been using citywide. What they discovered is what they've been using citywide is actually a very workable plan. Because it's measuring 50 feet from a speaker, which means pretty much any kind of amplified sound outside 50 feet from the speaker is gonna be in violation. And so we met with the city, and thanks to Ted in particular, who helped us out communicating back and forth between Sue Ann and Candy and the city manager's office. We were able to meet with them, show them the plan that we've put together that will actually condense the sound, keep it within the park's boundaries, and the sound strategy is called cardio sound, and we'll be implementing that out in the amphitheater area. We've encouraged them obviously to do that at 515 Alive. That's one's more your purview, but it shows how it tightens the sound, disperses it before it gets off the boundaries and things like that. So they liked that, they agreed with it, and so Ted and I were able to confirm in the letter that they took it off and it won't be considered, and we're gonna be monitoring this year so that the city can use that data for a citywide ordinance that's more workable for everyone, so.
I read the article in the paper, but I read it kind of quickly, really early this morning, but it didn't seem to reflect that resolution.
Yeah, the article that came out, if it's the same one that I read, it actually came out before the meeting.
Okay.
They had interviewed us, I think the Friday before maybe, and then we had the meeting already set. And after the meeting, the city determined that, we're just gonna take this off the agenda. We like your sound plan. We had a lot of other people there from the 8035 to Music, the Moines Music Coalition. Uncle Roy's, some of those folks that also stage these outdoor events. And so they were concerned because it was the first time that they realized, oh yeah, we're probably out of compliance as well. The city's concerts are clearly out of compliance, but it's complaint-based. So since it hadn't been complained, or there hadn't been significant enough complaints for them to shutting thing down, but then people started to realize, wait, we were really vulnerable. And promoters, of course, are the ones that shell out all the money up front. So it kind of rallied them, and while they haven't addressed that, they're gonna use us as kind of a data collection point to do that.
And that
So,
second reading was scheduled for,
this past
yesterday?
Monday,
Yeah.
yeah, yesterday, yeah.
so it did, and so they did pull it.
Absolutely.
So
Great.
We did get called out in that meeting, but it was because we'd addressed the tree issue with the Des Moines arborist, and he was very appreciative of that, so he called us out specifically for working with him on saving the significant trees and how the replanting. So,
Great.
thank you.
Seeing no other public?
We can go on with the action items. So 3A, request authorization to solicit bids for 2019 Des Moines water main replacement, contract 1, and establish the date of the public hearing as of the date of the May 2019 board meeting, which is May 28th, 2019.
Yes, this is the first water main replacement contract in the city of Des Moines for 2019. Probably will be the only Des Moines Waterworks contracted project in the city because we're doing a lot of other main replacement through other projects. Fuller Drive is a perfect example where we're spending $1 million on main replacement. We'll see another item here later on Arlington where we're replacing some fairly significant pipe. Two streets, Park Avenue. The second phase of a project that Sue, I think, probably will remember the first phase of that project pretty well. This is further west. And then 48th Street is actually a private line, private water main, south of Ingersoll that we are going to replace. Because it's a private water line, those customers will be asked to pay a small portion of the cost themselves. And we will pay the rest of that with a public street. So those are the two projects, both break related. We would recommend that the board authorize us to.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and second to authorize staff to solicit bids for 2019 Des Moines water main replacement. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 3B, request authorization to solicit bids for 2019 Polk County water main replacement, contract 2, and establish the date of the public hearing as of the date of the May 2019 board meeting.
Another water main replacement contract. This is Polk County, the second contract for this year. You can see on the map on the following page, a couple of streets between 2nd Avenue and Northwest 6th Drive, former benefited water district mains. A lot of this pipe was installed in the 1950s, both of these mains. 4-inch pipe installed in 1952, that vintage of pipe we have a lot of trouble with. Planning to replace both of these with new PVC mains, larger diameter, provide fire protection. $1.6 million worth of work funded out of the Polk County system. Very similar to the first one, other than it's in Polk County. We would ask that you authorize that.
Can I have a motion? So moved.
This would be appropriate if we read the motion. There are gonna be people listening at home or watching us, and if they don't have the paper in front of them, so.
All right. Entertain a motion to authorize the staff to solicit bids for 2019 Polk County water main replacement, contract 2, and establish the date of the public hearing as of the date of the May 2019 board meeting, and direct staff to publish notice as provided by law.
So moved.
Second.
I do have a question, Ted. You said that we're going to it's a 4-inch now and it's going to a larger one.
It is.
Will the customers in this area see better water pressure or any enhancement to their current water service?
You know, they certainly will have an enhancement in the form of fire protection, because they probably have somewhat limited fire protection from a 4-inch main. I would suspect that their domestic services is probably acceptable. I don't know. Michael, do you have any thoughts on that?
I doubt they're gonna see a pressure change here, it's more of a fire flow issue.
One of them is gonna be 8-inch, one is gonna actually be 12-inch, if
I have these both at 8,
both at 8.
on the next one, what we're gonna award has got some different dimensions, two different pipe sizes.
Both 8-inch mains, so that the big improvement there, Sue, would be fire protection.
Great.
Absolutely.
I have a question too, just out of curiosity, is it, the difference between the, action item that we just approved and this one is about $1 million, what's the $1 million difference?
Just the length of pipe
Length of
that
pipe.
we're replacing.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Very comparable per foot cost for these projects. Sometimes in the county, it can be a little more open. Sometimes there's more, water and other issues. Fairly comparable. Michael, would you agree with that?
Yeah, the other thing here is, the Park Avenue work is gonna be, on the first item is 12-inch. So we're talking about some larger apparatus here, whereas Polk County 2, hope I'm not getting these mixed up, we're talking about 8-inch pipe and stuff.
Yeah. The Polk County one is actually more expensive, but it's for the length of the project.
Yeah, I got that kind of.
Okay, thank you.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize staff to solicit bids for 2019 Polk County water main replacement, contract 2, and establish the date of the public hearing as the date of the May 2019 board meeting, and direct the staff to publish notice. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 3D, 2019 Polk County water main. Oh, I'm C, I'm sorry. 3C, request authorization for CEO and general manager to approve change order for City of Des Moines River Bend and King Irving Sewer Separation Phase 1 project.
Yes. And this may sound somewhat familiar. In March of 2018, the board actually approved reimbursing the city for work on this sewer separation project. About $150,000 worth of work was approved at that time. Subsequent to that, there was also the realization by the city that the storm or the sanitary sewer in the street there had collapsed, and they were going to have to do some additional work, which resulted in about $50,000 of water main work that would need to be done. So we took the originally approved $150,000 of the work, we added $50,000 onto that without coming to the board, because that's an amount that wouldn't need direct authorization. So this was about a $200,000 project once they started digging. When they started digging the water main in the street there, which was installed in 1889, 6-inch pipe, started to break and flood out their construction on 2 different occasions. And so they came to us and they said, what are you going to do? The staff actually looked at this as an opportunity. Mike and his folks in engineering, the distribution folks in Jenny's area, they went out, they met with the city, they worked with them. They negotiated some additional pipe replacement with without having to do any surface restoration. Very cost-effective pipe replacement for us, and effectively what we're gonna do now is replace that entire block of main. What we're proposing here today is adding another $195,000 worth of pipe to the $200,000 that we'd already agreed, for a total of $395,000 to replace the entire length of that main in Arlington, which is 6-inch cast iron pipe from 1889. It hadn't been breaking until we got there. It started disturbing things, but now that it is breaking, it's the right thing to do. We can get a pretty good deal with the city tearing the pavement out and all the surface restoration, and just pay the contractor to put the pipe in. So that's what we're bringing here to you today, is another $195,000, which will take that to $395,000, but it will give us a brand new main, 8-inch main on Arlington.
Entertain a motion to authorize the CEO and general manager to approve the change order for the city of Des Moines, Riverbend, and King Irving Sewer Separation Phase 1 project in the amount of $195,000.
So,
So, second.
Any questions? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next agenda item is the 2019 Polk County Water Main Replacement Contract 1. I'd like to open a public hearing for comments from the public concerning the project's form of contract, plans, and specification.
And estimated cost. That's not on our sheet. But we'll add it.
And estimated cost.
Sorry.
Thank you. Hearing none, I'll ask the general manager if there have been any comments received from the public.
There have been no written or oral comments received from the public.
So I will then close the public hearing. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the project's form of contract, plan, specification, and estimated costs.
So moved.
seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the project's form of contract, plan, specification, and estimated cost. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And
And then
Ted, would you give us the analysis of the bids?
Absolutely. We received 3 bids on this project. This is another water main replacement project in Polk County, just across 2nd Avenue. You can see on the map on the next page, Northeast 3rd Street and Northeast 5th. 3 bids were received, 2 of them from contractors who we have worked with before, in some cases on a fairly regular basis, but the low bid was actually received from GM Contracting from Lake Crystal, Minnesota, and we have not worked with GM Contracting historically. But Mike and the folks in engineering did reach out to a number of references who had worked with GM in the past on similar types of projects. They've got favorable reports from those references. Did also find out that GM Contracting is a directional drilling contractor, and about half of the work on this project is directional drilling, which helps us understand why someone in Minnesota would want to come down to Des Moines and do this work. So we feel that they can do the work, and we would recommend that the board award the contract.
So I'd like a motion to approve the general manager's recommendation awarding the contract to GM Contracting Inc. in the amount of $1,040,989.31 and authorizing the chairperson and CEO and general manager to execute the contract.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next decision agenda item is the core drilling services for 2019 anode retrofit program.
Yes, this is, anode retrofit is a program that we do each year. Jenny and her folks in distribution actually install the anodes in the holes that are core drilled by this contractor. Engineering plays a big part in selecting the streets and laying this all out, so it's very much an internal process. This actually, this year especially, at a $48,000 price point, is something that wouldn't necessarily need to come to the board. But depending on how many holes there are and what bids we get, sometimes it can be over 100,000, and so we just tend to schedule it and have it on the agenda. But if anyone is wondering why such a small item, that's the reason. We just had the 2 bids this year. Badger Daylighting is a company that we've worked with many times, and they're more than capable of doing the work. So we would recommend we authorize.
I'd like a motion to award. Says, excuse me. Oh, core drilling services for the 2019 anode retrofit program to the low responsible bidder Badger Daylighting in the amount of $48,172.50.
So moved.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The next agenda item is the CEO selection process. We, on the board, specifically requested a memo from Doug Garnett about the selection process and timeline that was pursued in the past. So I would, there is no specific recommendation on this, but Ted, I guess I'd ask you to take us through a brief summary of what is in that memo.
Sure. What Doug did for us here is prepare kind of a timeline and overview of the last 2 selection processes that the board went through in 2008 when L.D. McMullen retired, and then in 2012 when Randy Beaver retired. I would say that in both cases, the board chose to go through a facilitated process. They hired a consultant to help with a review of the job description and getting that documentation put together, help with the announcements, the collection of applicants, if you will, narrowing the field. In 2008, it was more of a regional process, looking sort of in the Midwest region. In 2012, the board did more of a national search, looked kind of through a broader net. Both cases, they ended with selection and appointment. I think here today, we have the opportunity for you to talk about where you'd like to go.
I guess I'll open the subject for discussion. I think one of the first things we have to decide is how quickly we would like to do this. Maybe that's something that we should be talking about before we get into what process we would follow in doing this. Anybody have thoughts on that?
I will throw out a suggestion. We are in the midst of our regional water discussions, and if we were to do a job description today, I think we'd actually have to do several, not knowing what a regional water utility would look like for the Des Moines Water Works, and then what it would be like if Des Moines Water Works remains exactly as it is. I think we are in very good shape, and I would like to suggest as one option to the board, we are being well covered by Ted at this point, and I would like for us to put this on hold until the fall timeframe. I mean, I could be more specific and say November 1st, if that would be helpful. Because I think by then we will know what's happening with some of the regional discussions, if we are going to be forming a regional utility, if we're not, and for any candidates in whatever process we would go through, I think it would be important for us as a board to know how this utility would look, and how it would be structured. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I follow what you're thinking there, and I wonder if, maybe we should just schedule, have this come up on our agenda. What I'm saying is, instead of saying November 1st, because that's kind of an arbitrary date, right? If we said, and I'm making this up, that we would have have this discussion at our, today's April, so we would discuss it maybe again in July and see if there's an update, and then maybe every other month or something like that. Just so that it's kind of a reminder to us, it's on there, we can update what we're thinking. Maybe it's possible in July, we're at a point where at least we wanna think about whether we're gonna hire a recruiting firm, and we have a firm timeline or something like that. So I'm just saying, instead of setting a kind of arbitrary date, just have it ping back to us, maybe every other month or something, where we just have an update and see what we need to do. Does that make sense?
That's fine. I want to make sure though that in that process that we are not stating a lack of concern or lack of
Not at all.
support for TED. And I think I've heard each of us individually say how fortunate we think we are to have the strong leadership that we have throughout the utility, and to be in a strong position. So
Not at all.
I want to just make sure that we communicate that thanks and appreciation to our senior leadership team, because it's not just a person,
Right.
but it's the support that I think we have and confidence in the overall utility. So when that's pinged, I don't want anyone to get nervous or to think, oh, now they're going to do something else, but rather we have the full confidence in the leadership that we have at Des Moines Water Works on our senior staff.
Yeah, the flip side of that is that we also remember there that we're not gonna stay in this limbo forever. We're not gonna make people
Exactly.
remain in an acting,
Good.
position for a long period of time. And I think the other piece of that is it allows us to continue to remind those other parties that we're in negotiations with that this is out there and that,
Sure.
we're looking for a way to, increase participation in this process.
David, Andrea, I don't know that we need to take a vote on anything, but I just wanna be sure that if that's what we're going to do, which is really understand that this agenda item is there, but not take any action at this time. Have it come up periodically so we can revisit it. Whether or not you feel comfortable with that, and if you do, then we'll just move on to the next agenda
Two
item.
months is a little bit soon, I think.
Yeah, it was just arbitrary, I don't know what the right
So
time
it's
period
November
is.
1st, I just picked that out, so I don't, yeah, but I think we're all of the same sentiment.
I would agree.
Okay. All right, well then I will take it as a chair, and working with Ted, we'll make sure that it
Get it on the agenda.
is on
Comes
the
back.
agenda and comes back to everybody.
Perfect.
Okay, the next agenda item is CEO and CFO compensation. We'd like to do this in a closed session. Section 21.9 of the Code of Iowa allows a closed session to discuss strategy in matters relating to employment conditions of employees of the government body who are not covered by a collective bargaining agreement. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss strategy in matters relating to employment conditions of the CEO and CFO positions.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor?
On this, a roll
Excuse me.
call.
Roll call on it.
Roll call,
Yes, please.
okay.
Michelle, you wanna call the roll?
Yes.
Dave Carlson,
Aye.
Sue Hubbard,
Aye.
Diane Moines,
Aye.
Graham Gillette,
Aye.
Andrea Bolton.
Aye.
Everyone needs to return to open session. We have, two motions resulting from the closed session that I will entertain, motions and votes on. The first is, entertain a motion to increase Ted Corrigan's annual salary by 10% to $201,537.05, effective retroactive to the date of appointment to the position of CEO and general manager on an interim basis, and for such increase to remain in effect for so long as he holds that position of interim CEO and general manager, or until December 31st, 2019, when the board will review his performance as part of his annual performance evaluation. This motion would further increase Ted Corrigan's cell phone and car allowance to CEO level of $1,199.90 for cell phone and $6,933.42 for car allowance per annum. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions, discussion?
This is an awkward way to do these things in a public body, but do you
Yeah.
have any questions, Ted?
Might not, I would say, thank you.
It hasn't been voted on yet.
Duly noted.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a second motion to award CFO Peggy Freese a one-time bonus of 2% of annual salary for a total payment of $3,664.31.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. You want this back? On to agenda item 4, information items, board committee reports, planning committee.
Well, we talked about, there's a update for the diversity of personnel, and then we also talked about the Purple Martin Lake development update. I think probably the board, the most changing thing is the purple part. Ted, would you wanna?
Absolutely. A couple of highlights there. We have entered into an agreement with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources to manage Purple Martin Lake as part of Walnut Woods State Park. They have done quite a bit of work there to open that to the public and create some walking trails and establish the Purple Martin colony. That's going along very nicely. Somewhat impacted by the flood this spring. It was closed today when I went by actually, but that's coming along nicely, and I think it's a great partnership. They do the maintenance, the mowing, the policing, and we just own it. So that's a good deal for us, and it's a good deal for the public. The other thing that's exciting out there, I think, is that West Des Moines with their 5 Waters project is thinking about interacting with Purple Martin Lake in a way that I'm not sure that they've announced yet, but it's exciting for us, and we're open-minded to that, and maybe part of their marathon trail for us all over.
I didn't realize that wasn't announced.
Well, I'm not sure that they, what they've said about it to this point, other than that they're doing it.
And back on the diversity, it's an ongoing program. I think that was, Andrea, is that about everything?
I think so.
Finance and Audit Committee.
No, I don't have anything to report on finance or audit or really on the botanical garden, but I'll use my time to, I think we've all expressed our thanks to the staff for last week. The reception here was perfect, I thought, in many ways. I know that Amy and Liam appreciated it. I appreciated the very clean dump truck that was at the church for the service. I thought that was awesome. I mean, I just thought it was a great tribute to have that out there. But I mean, in every way, I mean, it was a tough time for all of us, but, you know, it shows what a great place Des Moines Waterworks is. And appreciate it.
Customer relations.
Yes, we spent a significant amount of time in a closed session. I will say since then, probably what would be more of greater interest to everyone is that Jody and John are both back. Jody Smith from Western Maryland, who's serving on the Regional Utility Board, and John McEwen, who is with the Urbandale. They are both back in town, so we have had a meeting. We have a follow-up meeting on May 1st. And they have been very upfront with us regarding the discussions going on with the western suburbs. And they are pleased that we are moving quickly with FCS, and we have told them we'll continue to keep them informed of what's going on. I think there is a very strong interest, and this was also confirmed by Hanky, in an asset transfer model. That has become very clear as they start to look at possibly investing in a western regional entity. I think the interest that I am hearing, and Diane, you've been in on those meetings, so correct me if you're picking up something else, but if they are going to invest in Des Moines Waterworks, then I think it is, we've been through every other option with them over the last almost 2 years, and I think definitely the preferred option is how can we get to an asset transfer model. So in our additional discussions as a board, I think we need to, and I know we're going to be going into closed session on some of those discussions regarding negotiation, but certainly that is their preference, and I think to present anything else at this point would encourage them to go to the western option that is before them. Diane, am I overstating what you think we've heard?
No, I think that's what we heard from them. We did ask them at that time, we went through the process with FCS and the time frame again and asked that they would give us an opportunity to present that.
And if I might just give a quick update on FCS, I did talk to Jason yesterday, and he said that they are in work, making progress. They got the information from Raptelis through Peggy on the amount that the wholesale rates need to be worked on or adjusted. They've incorporated that into all of their calculations. The next step is to take a look at the purchase capacity evaluation, reserve capacity evaluation, and then growth and then peaking. But he feels they're on track, on schedule. I think that's the message, is that he feels that they're making progress. And we'll have something for us in a month or so, I guess would be the timeline for that first 45-day delivery.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I don't know if this time, these are board committee reports, but I don't know if at this time, Ted, if you wanna talk about them now in this context or later on, if you have any, further information on the planters and the zoo.
A couple of updates I can give you. The city of Des Moines, related to the Fluor Drive planters, the city has committed to provide police presence when we are working on Fluor Drive, whose grounds staff is on Fluor Drive in an attempt to calm the traffic and improve worker safety out there. They've committed to that, and they've given us a contact, and Jessica is working with Sergeant Beardsley there to coordinate that. So hopefully that will bear some fruit. That's one update I can provide on Fluor Drive. We're still working on that. From the perspective of the zoo, what I can share is that there had been some consideration of the zoo drilling a well. We've looked into that a little bit and shared back with the city, and that information came to us from the city, not directly from the zoo. That for a number of reasons, we didn't feel that was something that the waterworks could support. Reasons including construction costs, operating costs, water quality, backflow considerations, and a number of things that made that what we felt was like an unattractive option. So that's really about it from the zoo.
Anything, from the Des Moines Waterworks Park Foundation Board? I know we heard right from there, but Andrea or David?
I think not right now.
I think I would just add that it's exciting to see all the work that's being done out there and to know that to know how impressive it is that this committee has come, and, very close into reaching that fundraising goal, and that we're gonna see this first phase done soon, very soon.
And a good thermometer of it is, we've got every past president still active.
That's great.
And I've never seen that before.
I don't know if there's anything else.
Laura, you wanna give the government outreach update?
Well, first, everyone at the table has a new water bottle to take home.
Thank you.
Thank you to Andrea in attendance yesterday, and John Landy representing legal counsel. We had all three 2D stations at our Fluor Drive treatment plant for the commissioning of our new pump station and pipe to the WRA, where we will divert discharging the nitrate waste from going to the Raccoon River, now going to the WRA for further treatment. So great press attendance, city staff and the mayor county was there. So it was a great event. It was an initiative that came forward by Bill Stowe, and I think he would have been proud to see that happen. And thank you to the operations staff that made everything happen out there. We were able to turn on the switch and it actually worked, so thank you. On the legislative side of things, our lobbyists don't like to make predictions, but I just got a text and they said they are predicting a Saturday adjournment for the state legislators to adjourn. And I've been hearing that from staffers and media as well. So if that holds true, we, as Des Moines Waterworks, will remain intact without any other collateral damage thrown at us. I do have a few updates on 3 bills that we were, as a water utility, tracking. House File 261, which was a utility board member removal bill. It is placed on the unfinished business calendar, so it is up for debate. Our lobbyists are not thinking it will be up for debate or be placed on the debate calendar, so it'll be alive for the next session next year. House File 537, which is right-of-way fees, which we are very interested in as a utility. It is up for debate on both chambers, so our lobbyists are predicting that it can be debated and passed and signed before session ends. But stay tuned on that. And the House passed Senate File the Senate File 548, so the Senate's version, which is the Iowa Natural Heritage Bill. And Andrea can certainly speak more on that. And that is limiting nonprofits using state revolving loan fund to purchase land to do water quality practices. So there was an amendment to that House passage that made it a little better. So we're happy about the amendment. And now it goes back to the Senate to pass that amendment version from the House. So those are the 3 that we as a utility were certainly tracking. Any other questions on that?
Does that last one have a chance of getting passed?
Yes.
Also, the slurry or the salt that goes to the treatment plant, when it's processed, I heard on TV that it's gonna be, can be spread on fields.
Yeah, so the WRA takes the product and some of it's treated in their anaerobic digesters, I believe is what they're called. And then some are then microbiologically treated, and then those bugs are then created into a beneficial reuse product. So the bugs plus the nitrogen have a beneficial reuse product that is called a biosolid, and then the WRA has a contract with watershed, the farmers in the Des Moines watershed, so Jasper and Polk counties, and then they are able to spread that on farm fields for soil additives.
That's the first I've heard that.
Yeah. So it's a great reuse of a product.
Before we leave those information, I have a couple questions so I can go back to customer relations. Are there any meetings or discussions that are going to be held between now and when the customer relations committee meets on, I believe, May 7th?
We have asked for time with West Des Moines, but Jody has not come back with what we said we would like to meet with the mayor here and the city manager. And we do have a May 1st meeting with West Des Moines with Jody and John again as a follow-up.
That's between now and then?
Yeah, that's
Uh,
next week.
Because I'd like to delve in deeper to, and now is not the time, but
Okay.
your comment that they're only willing to consider one type of option.
Well, that's,
A negotiation isn't dictated that way, and I think we need to discuss that as a board on what's an option and what's not an option. So I didn't want my silence or non-response to be interpreted as if I accept that term of negotiation from them.
Well, I really think that we're not negotiating yet. I mean, I think that's.
Well,
what
if they're dictating what they're gonna consider and what they're not, that's negotiation.
well, but that's where the entire group had been going, and all of the regional meetings, that was.
Right, which we didn't agree to that in the first place, so we keep going down the same road.
So I think when FCS comes and we put that together, we're gonna have to decide.
Exactly,
Right,
we are,
we are,
this board,
yes, absolutely.
right. And so I just want this board to be included in those conversations and not, as I said, I didn't want my silence to be that
Sure.
I agreed with that statement, because obviously that statement of
And
substance.
we have made it clear to them that we've not taken a vote on that,
Mhm.
and that is something that we'll have to, as a board, decide whether or not that's something that we will offer or won't offer.
Great. That helps me. And then we had passed around and discussed some sort of an announcement or a release or something,
Yeah,
and
and
I
we
didn't know
had-
what that was.
It's still there, it was, I think the beginning of last week, was still in draft form. I
Okay.
think that there were still issues
That's fine.
with it.
I didn't know if I had missed it or something like that,
Yeah,
so that's
so
fine.
it hasn't gone up.
We thought having these face-to-face meetings might be a better way of doing it, instead of trying to sum it all up on one pager, and how does that sound, and getting more feedback instead of just one way, so I don't know that that's.
Especially with the changes and the fact that people couldn't agree.
Thanks for letting me read that.
Okay, Ted, do you have any?
A couple of things, reiterate a couple of things. Bill's arrangements, I Graham did a nice job already of thanking everyone, but I wanted to specifically thank Laura for her efforts in coordinating what happened here, and thank Graham for his efforts in coordinating with the family members. Very nicely done, thank you. And the Think Downstream event, Laura already commented on that. Also, it was, but I thought it was well attended and well reported. Yeah. Positive is, not negative is positive. That was a good, they showed up and listened, and that's positive. A couple other quick things, I think you're all aware of the PFAS, or the polyfluorinated compound contamination that's been found at the Des Moines airport. We have been working with DNR, following up with them. We did do some additional sampling, did not find any of those compounds in our water or in drinking water from the fluid drive plant or direct sources to the fluid drive plant. It is clearly in the creek leaving the airport though, and that's something the director is concerned about. And we've been working with the DNR to ensure that they're giving it the appropriate amount of consideration. And we'll continue to do that. I think the next step will be to send them a letter letting them know that what our concerns are and expectations, and try to ensure that doesn't just drag on forever without any resolution. And then on a lighter note, we completed a prescribed burn for the first time in about 8 years at Mappet Reservoir, and we burned off all of our prairie out there. So if you go and it looks like there was a giant fire, there was. Something we should do from time to time in that area, and it was successful today. So. That's it for
And
me.
that was the lighter note?
That was a lighter note. That's a good thing. That's a
The
positive.
good thing is that you timed it when my relatives were in Florida, so they were at home during that period.
Perfect.
So everybody wins.
Perfect. They probably did get some smoke from it.
And it's, you just don't have to do it.
All right, I will just note that the contract status spreadsheet and the March 2019 lien certifications and reversals were in your packet. Are there any questions on those items?
I don't want to jinx the injury reports,
Yeah,
but one is,
Yeah.
one is great. We did have another one yesterday.
so I jinxed it just by
No,
bringing it
no,
up.
yeah. We did the pre-jinx, but as a publication, we were at one, which was very
That's
positive.
pretty good.
Good. We take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.